everybody. Going to welcome you into another edition of the Roy's Boys podcast. It's going to be a fun one tonight as we're going to break down the win over Gonzaga, 103-90 Carolina victory. Going to bring in my co-host, as always, Anthony Pagnotta. Friend, what did you think of it?
You're breathing heavy. I can tell you've really been celebrating this.
Yes.
Me as well. Been a great game, or was a great game from the Tar Heels. I think that was exactly what we needed. And, I can't really think of a moment in that game where I didn't feel like we were in control of the game. So that was a good feeling. First time in a while, really.
Yeah, I was worried, when we previewed the game and I wrote about the game, I thought this team would come out. They hadn't played in 10 days, and in basketball,
right.
that's a big deal because it's such a rhythm game, and this team looked like they just played the other night the way the offense looked as good as this looked all year long. I thought defensively, I know they gave up some points, but look, Gonzaga was the number one rated Ken Palm team in the country. They were going to get their points, but I thought we were at least active early in the game, got in the passing lanes, made them somewhat uncomfortable and rushed them into taking some bad shots. But I'm with you. Like, there wasn't a time where I was sitting there and I was like, okay, let's get back to playing. I just thought we played consistent the whole 40 minutes on both ends of the floor.
Yeah, I really liked the energy, especially early in the game. Defensively, looked great. We're able to stop the ball, something that we really weren't doing all that much so far in the early going in the 2018 season. So I thought for the most part they did a really good job of that tonight. We heard a lot about Rui Hachimura coming in, and I'd seen this guy play, and look, this isn't a joke. This kid can play, and we were able to slow him down most of the night. I was a little bit concerned about Luke May being on him early in the game, but I thought Luke May played well against him when he was matched up on him, and really everybody else did a fantastic job as well. One of the only guys that really did anything great all night was Josh Perkins. And honestly, there was nothing we could do about that. A lot of people will probably complain about the second half saying, well, we really didn't do a good job defensively. I didn't really see us do a terrible job defensively. I think we were probably a little bit below the level we were playing in the first half, which, when you come out with as much energy as they did to start the game, that's going to happen in the second half. You will, cool off maybe a little bit defensively, but meanwhile, Gonzaga also heated up on the offensive end. There were a lot of shots where me and you, who, we watched the game together, we looked at it and said, okay, there's nothing we can really do there. We had a defender in the area, hand up, and the guy was just making shots. What are you supposed to do if you do everything that you're supposed? Are you supposed to just tackle the guy? That's a foul. I don't get it.
Yeah, I had an interaction with a guy on Twitter who was like, this team just hasn't defended in the second half. And I was like, that's just not the case. Like, look, they're making shots that, look, if a guy's going to pull from 30 and he makes it, I'm not going to complain. Take that shot. It's just, I think, we talk about this all the time. We never want to give the team the team we're playing any credit for what they're doing. And look, this Gonzaga team's good.
They're really good.
This is a Final Four type team, and they're not even fully healthy, and they're still a Final Four type team.
Oh, yeah.
To be honest, I expected the game to get as high scoring as it did because both teams were very good offensively, top 6 in efficiency rating on offense, and both were from the 30 to the 50 range defensively. So this was the game we expected. You said about what Luke May did on Hachimura. He had 17 and 7. Luke May had 20 and 16. A guy who's gotten a lot of criticism from this fan base, from the national people. The dude had 20, still didn't shoot the ball as well as he could have, and made some bonehead plays. This was the game that it was a typical Luke May game. Has a big time matchup with a guy who's a physically more gifted player, and Luke May just dominated the guy inside. So, if we're going to complain about anything from tonight's effort, it was just too many stupid turnovers at the top of the key that allowed Gonzaga.
So many outside before we even got inside the three-point arc, turning the ball over. That was one of the frustrating things from my perspective. And 22 turnovers on paper Not good.
Right.
Not good. But it really didn't affect us all that much. I mean, you mentioned it. The closest the game ever got after halftime was 8 points.
Yeah.
So, I mean, how do you argue with that performance? I mean, yeah, everything's not going to go perfectly. This is sports. If you think that everything's going to go perfectly, I don't know what to tell you because that's never how it works. I agree with what you said. You got to be able to give the other team credit. There were a lot of shots that they just simply made. There was nothing we could do about it. I mean, I'm sure that's how Gonzaga is going to feel in certain areas. Some of the shots that Luke May was hitting. How do you defend it any better? Like, he had 2 shots. He had the one where he was sort of leaning to the side on the left side of the outside the lane, inside the 3-point arc. You know which one I'm talking about. Just knocked it down. And then the turnaround shot from the baseline later on. Same thing. What are you doing? How do you stop that? Just made a shot. So, but Luke May, everybody wants to criticize him when he plays bad. And then whenever he plays good, nobody wants to give him enough credit, it seems. I thought he played great tonight. The one thing that I liked from him, we're looking at the stats right here. We'll keep them up throughout the podcast. 7 of 7 from the free throw line. I like that he's aggressive, getting to the basket, trying to get to the free throw line, because when he's at his best is when he's at the free throw line. That's what you want to see. You want to see him getting to the dirty area to make plays. And when he was going through that little offensive drought that he had, that had been the problem. He wasn't getting inside. He was settling for so many outside shots. And tonight, I don't know. I think he just realized, look, I'm bigger than these guys. Give me the ball and let me get inside. And he did a fantastic job.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I thought he was as aggressive as he's been all year long. I thought tonight was the first time we've seen this team in their 4 marquee games: Texas, UCLA, Michigan, and Gonzaga, impose their will on the opponent from the tip. Like, look, this is who we are. This is how we're gonna play. And you can't stop it. When Carolina gets in that kind of mindset, they're too talented to not play well and not play with anybody. And that was just simply the case tonight. It wasn't that Gonzaga didn't give any effort. No, Carolina just worked them. The ball moved. We set good screens. We were on the offensive glass. Everything that you got to do to win a kind of game like this, Carolina did. Cam Johnson, there was a guy who, one of the reporters tweeted before the game, he looked ready to go. And
He's fired up.
Son of a gun comes in here tonight, gives you 25 with 6 triples. I think
that was my boy Jack Leland, the Daily Tar Heel.
Yeah, that's, I've been very critical because your 3 seniors, Kenny, Cam, and Luke, hadn't all yet played well in a game. I think tonight was the first time they all 3 played to their level. And that's going to be important for this team as the season grows on. They're our best players. They've got to give us what they gave us tonight.
Oh, yeah. And it's like you said. And that's the thing. Everybody, I know the immediate reaction to what you just said. Well, Nazir Little is a better player than them. No, he's not. He's a better talent than them.
Right.
But right now, full development, those 3 are better than him, because that's how it works in this Carolina system. We've known that for a long, long time. And you're right. Those 3 are so vital. You can have one of them playing well, but you need, when all 3 of them play well, it's almost impossible to stop them. And I agree with you. I think tonight was probably the best that they've played as a group together. Kenny's still, 3 of 8, but I think at this point in the season, we got to just kind of realize he's struggling shooting the ball. And yeah, he might have a few games where he shoots well, but right now, he's just really not having a good season shooting the basketball. And that happens.
Yeah.
That happens. You can be streaky like that. Last year he had a great year. This year it might dial back a little bit. But the thing is, I liked when he got aggressive and started taking the ball to the hoop. That's what I think he needs to do a little bit more. If anything, he kind of backed off that a little bit in the second half. But, Cam looked fantastic tonight. 8 of 12 shooting, 6 of 8 from 3. Exactly what you want from him. You knew he was feeling it when he took the one from, I think he pretty much took it from Spokane. That was,
yeah, that was
nailed
deep.
it. straight through. So when he's feeling it and he's on, that's huge. And then with the performance of Luke, I thought Kobe White played very well. I thought, I mean, again, the efficiency numbers, people were probably complaining about 5 of 13. We were Knick fans. 5 of 13 from Carmelo Anthony was the greatest night in the history of the league. So, I thought relatively efficient. 15 points, 6 assists, which is, that's something that maybe I don't think anybody's been critical of it, but we haven't really seen that much from Kobe. He's a guy that has been looking for a shot a lot because he's been the hottest shooter out of anyone on the floor. Tonight, he was finally able to move it to guys that were shooting well, and that was extremely effective. So I loved it.
Well, the thing with Kobe, I think it's something we've got to get used to. He's a legit NBA point guard. His game is a pro game where he can get his own shot with his dribble, with a step back, with whatever. Whereas guys like, Page and Barry and Lawson could get their own shot, but they could still be legit point guards where they could run the offense in the half court. Not saying that Kobe can't, because he can. It's just his game will blossom more in the NBA level where the court's more open, the lane's more wide for him to get to the hoop, because that's who he is. Do I think he'll need to get better as a passer as the season progresses for this team and as a whole to get where they want to get to? Absolutely. Even when you won a title with Joel Berry, he could still run the offense and set other guys up. So
right, no, I think what you're trying to say, and this is how I see it, is that, look, those guys, very good in the half court of distributing the basketball, but the way they scored points was catch and shoot. Give it up to someone, get the ball back, and pop whenever you get the ball. Meanwhile, with Kobe, we saw it tonight. There were a couple of times where he would drive the basket, take a step back, and knock it down. I told you, I have not seen a point guard that has a better mid-range game than him in my time, thoroughly watching Carolina. To me, I haven't seen. I don't think Marcus was as effective as he is. Kobe is just that good at creating his own shot, which is huge.
There was plenty of times tonight where I would see him jab step, one dribble, step back, pop, make the shot. That's an NBA move. The way he can split two defenders, something at the NBA level, you're gonna, that he just already has, because his game is so refined scoring wise. He has a long way to go defensively and all this other stuff,
of course.
From a guy that can just want to go out there and get his own points, this is as a freshman, the most advanced guard Carolina's maybe ever had. And that's saying a whole lot when you look at the list of point guards that have played at this program, that played at a high level. So, but as we're talking about the point guards, Seventh Woods had his coming out party tonight. I tweeted it during the game. That was the player Roy Williams recruited 3 years ago. And that was a guy without a jump shot who now all of a sudden can step and and hit threes.
Well, I told you what I think happened with that. And we can discuss this a little bit here. I think that was more of the knee injury that he suffered at the end of his high school career. I think kind of carried over to Carolina. We heard after his freshman year, he wasn't really fully healthy. And I think that was something that we saw a little bit last year as well. That knee is finally fully healthy. And maybe, what the thing was even if it was fully healthy last year, I think his confidence may have been shot a little bit. And now you can see he's a little more confident in his shot. And, he is just, you've got to hand it to him. The man is so smart with the basketball. It's crazy. He's out there. He runs the offense, to me, a little more safer than Kobe does. He doesn't get up the floor quite as quickly. But even tonight, there were a few times where he did. And the one other thing that I really like from him, and this has been the whole year, is he drives the basket. Yeah. Whether it's to score or pass, he drives the basket. And that's something that we've got to see more of from not only the guards, specifically the point guard, but you need to see from everybody else.
Oh, I agree wholeheartedly, This is going to be a guy that, I thought would start when the season started and would eventually lose it. But, Kobe won the job. But I've thought all along he's going to be very important to what this team does. We saw that in Vegas because when this team got flustered, we didn't have him to come there and start things.
Right,
And you
right,
saw tonight
right.
when Gonzaga started with the full court kind of man to man with the traps. Kobe turned the ball over a couple times. All of a sudden, we put seventh in to just kind of settle everything down because he's seen it for 3 years, and now we're breaking the pressure,
Right.
getting running the clock and getting the shots we want. So really, just happy for him to see him get back to the level that he was when we recruited this kid. This was a guy that committed to the program when we weren't getting that kind of player, that kind of talent. So I'm just more than anything, I'm just happy to see him being successful on the basketball court.
Yeah, no, I'm happy to see that his jump shot has developed a little bit. And, this was one of the things that I think we all thought was key coming into the season was for him to take a step forward like this. And, I mean, he's not starting. But I'm going to tell you, if anybody thinks that this has not been the step forward that we needed to see out of him, I don't know what to tell you. This is exactly what we needed from him. He's played, to this point, in my opinion, just about as good as anybody on the team.
Yeah.
With the role that he's in. So I got to hand it to him. I mean, tonight, I thought was a little bit of a coming out party. But, I mean, the other night against UNCW, scored the first 6 points of the second half. Came out flying. Got to the lane a couple of times. I mean, this is what you like to see. A guy that, look, I mean, he has that veteran feel to him. A guy that can come in and when the group maybe is a little bit flustered, settles everyone down and is able to occasionally get his basket when needed. Love it. Love it.
Yeah. So, I guess if we want to, we can look at the stats as a whole. Carolina really dominated this game in every facet that you can imagine. Out-rebounded Gonzaga. I think it was 37-21 is what it was.
Was that the final? I think that was...
I don't know what to get up to. 42-21. So you doubled up a team on the boards, which we talked about in the preview. Carolina came in averaging about 6 more rebounds than I thought could be a major factor. When you double up an opponent of that caliber, that's just showing that this team wants it more.
One thing that I want to make sure people know is because most people will probably say, well, Gonzaga is a really small team. If you go back and look at their statistics throughout the year, they have rebounded very, very well with that small lineup. I mean, they had, what did I say the other night? They had 4 guys averaging over 5 rebounds a game in their starting lineup. So let's not act like this team can't rebound. Carolina was just dominant on the glass. And that's something that, I mean, I'm trying to think of a game where we've really seen them dominate the glass in both halves so far this year. I can't remember, maybe Tennessee Tech, but that's it.
There hasn't been one in the, the 4 games that you've played with talent that can't compare.
Right, exactly.
When you're playing Elon and Tennessee Tech and St. Francis, by God, you better kick their ass on the glass. You're physically gifted, more talented. There's no excuse to not out-rebound them.
Right.
Doing this tonight, was impressive. Did I think we would do that to Gonzaga? No. Luke, 16 rebounds.
Beautiful.
Garrison Brooks, a guy who gets a lot of flack, 9 and 9 tonight. He was there defensively getting rebounds. So just a complete effort on the glass. You 14-5 offensive rebounds. So that's another number that, when you look at, that's the first thing Roy Williams looks at when he gets the stat sheet. Rebounds, offensive rebounds, and then the second chance points. Carolina outscored Gonzaga 24 or 27. Yeah, 27-0 in that category. That's unfathomable when you're playing
really good.
The number 4 team in the country. They did not get a single second chance point. Meanwhile, you scored 27.
Yeah, and again, second chance points was something that, I mean, we had not done. I mean, I remember in the game against Texas, we got dominated in that category. Yeah. And tonight, any chance we had, I mean, these guys were on the glass. I mean, dude, what a great performance. I mean, you got to hand it to, I mean, we saw the one that stuck out in my mind was the Nazir Little rebound. Goes up, grabs a rebound, and finishes and draws a foul too. I mean, that's exactly what you want to see on the offensive glass. And I mean, here's the thing. We out-rebounded them 28-5 on their end when they were shooting the basketball. When we were shooting the basketball, they out-rebounded us 16-14.
Right.
That's ridiculous. That's fantastic. That's exactly what you want to see, is them getting on the offensive glass and getting aggressive. We are the better team inside. We knew that coming into the game with them not having Tilly. And the question was, in our minds, would we be able to show them that we're better than them inside? Yeah, we did exactly that tonight. And that's it. I mean, I'm going to be honest. I mean, we said before the game, we may need to go small to try to match up with them. I don't know, man. The way we played tonight with a big lineup in, I think we might be okay.
Yeah, I mean, I've always said that everyone gets, Carolina has to match their opponent, especially when you get into conference play and you're playing teams that want to spread you out and drive you. But I've always thought, no, make the opponent match up with our size inside.
Right.
How many teams can? Not that many. I'm always going to live by having two guys that can dump the ball down in the post and four guys sitting around one that you hope can hit 3-pointers all night long. That's something I believe in as much as anybody.
Mm-hmm.
And in a game like tonight, it worked. So, we were 13-25 from three. They were only 8-22. Foul line, we were 20-25, which I wrote about in the preview because I thought this was going to be a lot more closer. Could be the deciding factor. Against Wilmington, we were only 17-28. That's not good enough, when you get into these kind of games. But 20 for 25. And the thing was, I think 4 of those misses came from Kobe and Cam. So they're going to correct that. I can live with that kind of performance at the charity stripe.
I mean, I said it earlier. Luke May shot 7 free throws and made all 7 of them. This has been somewhat of an issue for him at times where he's had some inconsistencies at the free throw line. Overall, his percentage is usually pretty high, but he has those games where he'll shoot 3 of 8 from the line or 4 of 10 from the line. Tonight, he didn't do that. He was efficient from the line, and that's exactly what you want to see from these guys because, look, if you're going to have that aggressive mindset like they had tonight to drive the basket, you got to be able to make your free throws. And they did exactly that. I thought it was fantastic.
Yeah.
Loved everything about it.
The only stat that we're going to look at that we're going to complain about was the turnovers we had, 23. We only forced 14, so we were -9 in that category. And here's how I'm going to look at that. I know a lot of fans were – and look, I'm not gonna say I was happy with the turnovers, but this is what I think. It's December. We haven't played in 10 days, and also it gives Roy Williams something to say when he goes into the locker room and say, "Hey, good job, good win," but we can't turn the stupid thing over 23 times. Like that's a good teaching point in a game like this that sometimes you don't find something negative to come out with, but those 23 turnovers are something we can really hamper on as we get ready for Kentucky.
I mean, the thing is okay, we turned the ball over 23 times and won by 13 points. I mean, we led most of the game by double digits. So clearly we were doing something right. Yeah, we were turning the ball over, but the thing was, just about every time we turned the ball over, except for one possession early in the game, we were getting back on the defensive end. Something that we weren't doing earlier in the season. Earlier in the season, okay, if we turned over a fast break, we'll just let them finish and we'll get into our offensive set. Tonight, it was like, okay, we turned the ball over, but let's hustle back and see if we can't slow them down.
Yeah.
Man, I remember there was one time they were out on a 2-on-1 break after a turnover. I don't remember exactly who the player was. Hustles back in. They end up having to pull it out and I think took a bad shot, and we ended up getting the ball back. That's what you want to see. If you make a mistake on the defensive end, try to correct it. Don't make sure that it's not a 2-for-1 mistake.
Yeah.
That's what you got to do, and they did that tonight.
So as we wind this thing down, I really want to give the fan base a shout out tonight for the people that were inside the Smith Center. One of the better atmospheres we've had for a non-Duke game, for just a regular season.
Roy said he thinks that's the best one that they've had for a December game.
Yeah, and that's saying something considering we played Maryland a couple years ago in a top 10 tilt. That was an old ACC rival. So, I really want to give the fan base a shout out for their efforts. We had some big time recruits in the house tonight, football and basketball wise.
Yeah, a big couple of guys for basketball. Matthew Hurt was in there, the 2019 small forward, and then Isaiah Todd is 20, right?
I believe so.
Yeah, the power forward. They were sitting down on the end opposite of the opposite of the student section. We could see him there during some of the free throws. You could see him back there. And Hurt is a guy, he's been on campus a lot, I believe.
Yeah.
So, oh yeah. But, brought those guys in. Of course, I think halftime was great. Everything went well there as Mac Brown came out and pumped the fans up. I think everybody really, really enjoyed themselves tonight. I have to shout out Lube May getting 1,000 career points.
Yep.
The 77th player to do that in Carolina history, which is by far the most out of any program.
And we actually have 78 because Cam Johnson has scored 1,000.
Right, but didn't do it all with Carolina. Yep.
But yeah, I mean, 70. I think it's 77 players have scored over 1,000 points. Outstanding. And just another reason when I try to say this is the best program in the sport, that's one of my other go-tos.
Yep.
Look how many guys have scored at a high level.
Just unbelievable. But yeah, congratulations. Remember, I mean, we've all heard the story about him, and I mean, you can, say, oh, well, we've heard this story so many times. It's still remarkable. This guy went from a guy that was supposed to be a walk-on. We ended up missing out on one of the scholarship guys that we had, and Roy said, okay, we have another scholarship spot, or maybe someone left. I don't remember the exact reason that scholarship got freed up. And he ends up offering him the scholarship, and now we're talking about a guy that's 1,000-point scorer at Carolina. It's just fantastic.
Yeah. So as we wind this down, we'll preview a little bit what we got going on next week. Should be a fun show. We'll have
ready for these ones, man.
We'll have our first guest on the show, Tony Patelis, who's a guy that I follow on Twitter.
This is your idol, right?
Yeah, this is my guy.
Pretty close.
It'll be a little fanboy experience for me.
Mine is still Jones Angel, if anybody's wondering. But yeah, Tony Patelis is your guy.
Yeah,
you told me earlier. This is a guy that tweets about college basketball about 23 hours and 15 minutes of the day. I think he sleeps for maybe 45 minutes a night and then wakes up and continues.
Yeah, I'll wake up at 7:30. He's on there, whether he's fussing about officiating, missed foul shot.
Man.
This is a guy who thinks highly of Carolina. Reiterated that tonight with a tweet. And so I'm excited to have him on. Of course, we play Kentucky next Saturday. I have some emotions about that game. I want to win that game about as bad as I want any other game.
That preview is going to be rough.
Yeah,
guys.
I'll be ready to go to that. So I hope you guys, check this one out. Anthony, thank you for joining me again.
Yeah, man. As always, man. It was fun. Glad we got to talk about a win. We both predicted a win.
Yeah.
And it ended up coming true. So we, say what you want. There's a reason to have confidence in this Tar Heel team.
Yes.
Yeah, there's a reason they're ranked 12th in the country. For the people that were saying, oh, this team might not even be a top 20 team. Really?
Right.
So, but what a night. I was thrilled with the entirety of the game between, like you said, the environment, the way we played. And, I mean, one can only hope. I mean, look, if we can beat Kentucky, at that point, we're looking at heading into conference play with just those two losses. I mean, kind of where we thought we'd be.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, man. So, as always, we're going to get this on our sites, Twitter, Facebook,
right.
Spreaker. I know we've had the stuff submitted to the other ones. I don't know if we got any.
iTunes is submitted, and so is iHeartRadio. They're taking a little bit of time getting back to us, but should be soon. Should be up on both those sites very soon.
You can find us on those media's outlets as well.
Check out the blog. Got to check out your blog, man.
Yeah.
The Roy's Boys podcast, or Roy's Boys blog. Got some great stuff. We got the Mount Rushmore thing up there.
That's up there. I'll have the recap of this game tonight. I'll have a fun little write-up about a Tar Heel wish list for what we could wish for this team as the season progresses, as we get closer to Christmas.
Okay.
I'll have that up. We'll actually just talk about that too next week on the preview for Kentucky, and of course I'll have a Kentucky preview out. Bigger games, a little bit more in depth instead of just the basic stuff. So always check that out and get back to me on Facebook and Twitter. I want to thank you guys for listening. Go Tar Heels.